It's time to hear it from Harlan. Utah Director of Athletics Mark Harlan takes you behind the scenes with the Utes and collegiate athletics.
Utah fans, welcome into our second Hear It From Harlan podcast of the 24-25 school year. Today we'll talk about everything that's going on in the athletic department. We'll feature a student athlete today on Hear It From Harlan. That will be Taliana Kaufusi, senior soccer player who, much like her team, is having a fantastic year. Then we'll talk about some of the comings and goings throughout athletics, some of the things that have changed over the last 6 or 7 weeks since Mark and I last spoke. Mark, good to see you. How are things?
You too, Bill. Always good to really get caught up with you and get everyone else caught up as well.
Well, let's start first with football. Been a tough go the last couple of weeks for Kyle's guys. They lost their third straight game for the first time in 7 years the other day, and they've had some struggles on the offensive side of the football, and with those struggles came some changes in the program this week.
Yeah, obviously the last time we spoke, we were in an environment. We had Mekhi Bernard in here, and how awesome is he, by the way? And it was such a great interview, and the excitement he had, the excitement that we all had, and certainly the community. And, obviously the one thing I'm so proud of this place is the bar and the standard of excellence is very, very high. It's one of the reasons why it's so awesome to work here. And, we're not hitting that bar. And, the folks that know that the most are the ones down the Eccles Football Center that are working tirelessly to get this right. So it's been a tough couple weeks, and I appreciate the real thoughtfulness that Coach has gone through during this time period. He's really good, Bill. We all know that, and he's going to be really good as we work through this issue. Certainly, as he said, the problems are pretty clear. We've got to be able to score in the red zone. I feel like we've been, up until this last week, we've been moving the ball up and down, but we ran into just everything on Saturday in the stadium, which, again, it was shocking for our fans to see. And I just, there's been this narrative about booing. I don't think anyone here has a problem with booing. We all get it because, again, passion can go both ways, but what you want is passion. So certainly, your question to my involvement with any of our head coaches, we'll dig in together and run things by each other. Certainly that's no different in the case of football at present. So, obviously when Andy stepped aside on Sunday, my first thoughts on all of it is what an amazing person he is. And I do know, and I think I'm already starting to see it 48 hours after the announcement, people are really reflecting on his brilliance. It seems like 5 minutes ago, and sometimes like it seems 50 minutes, when we're over 40 points on the Rose Bowl against an incredible Ohio State team. And we can go on. And like I put on Twitter yesterday, I think of the incredible moments that we've had with him. And so we're very, very grateful. And he and I have had some really great conversations. So listen, they're working hard. They're back at it today as we tape this. Today is the Tuesday, the tough physical practice of the week. I know Mike Bajakin very well. We knew each other in Tampa. We lived actually down the street from each other when he was coaching quarterbacks, and I was the AD at University of South Florida. I should say coaching quarterbacks for the Bucks. He's a great man. I think he's going to bring a lot to the table, and he's going to unite that group with the best of his ability, with everyone assisting along the way. So no one's going to feel sorry for the Utes, and so we're going to get after it, go after a tough Houston team who's coming off a tough loss as well, and then we'll go into the bye week and continue to work.
Then BYU here on the 9th after the bye week, so some time to get some things right for football. Football's had some struggles, but I'll tell you what, the Olympic sports this fall at the University of Utah, they're not struggling, Mark. Soccer, volleyball, cross country, golf, you name it. They are thriving right now. Let's start with soccer. I called a soccer game. I saw you Sunday. It's senior day and senior weekend. They've won 4 of their last 5. They swept the home series last weekend, and they're in a great position right now to be in a great seed in a couple of weeks in Kansas City.
Yeah, so proud of soccer. Hideki, the staff, the student athletes, they had to really overcome some early injuries. They had 4 key players that were out for multiple weeks, and they were able to hold it together. And then some of those athletes started coming back, and it just caused an explosion moment. We've been just, passing the ball and really moving the ball really well. And you've seen it, and appreciate all your work on the telecast, walking everyone through everything. But we're very, very excited about Taliana being here today. We'll get a chance to talk to her. But to win both those games on senior weekend was such a joy. So off to Colorado, huge game, trying to get that bye in the tournament, which is a really, really solid tournament in Kansas City, a great, as you know, a great soccer town. So really excited for the work ahead. They still got a lot of work ahead, but trending really in the right direction, and really looking forward forward to that tournament.
So Friday night, you can watch it on ESPN Plus, 7 o'clock Mountain Time start time in Boulder. And as Mark said, Taliana Kaufusi, who's got 10 goals this year and an assist, she'll be our player and our student athlete feature coming up in a few minutes here on Hear It From Harlan. Volleyball also. How about Beth Lanier's team? Not sure with this team who was going to play. She was figuring a lot of things out early in the season. Well, I think it's pretty fair to say right now, Mark, she's figured some things out. Ranked in the top 20 and top 25 of the country right now. If the tournament were to begin today, they'd be probably a top 15, top 16 seed, just playing great volleyball.
Well, you're exactly right. And I remember Beth being a little coy this summer. You know, they had that great tour in Europe, and they came back, and I could tell her enthusiasm was really high. You know, she plays it close to the vest sometimes, but she just felt like something really special happened in Europe in terms of coming together. And Bill, we've talked about this before on your show previous and in the podcast. You know, getting that team together is a real key for our coaches right now, because everyone's skilled, but who comes together as a team? She's just done a phenomenal job with that. And yeah, just you know, actually NCAA rankings, just like the women's basketball started doing this recently too. They came out, so we are 16. So if it was today, we'd be hosting, which is remarkable. A lot of volleyball left, a lot of work ahead, but just a fantastic, I guess, halfway point of the year for volleyball.
Yeah, there's a lot of volleyball to be played still. They'll be home next week with Arizona and Arizona State, but they play at Kansas State and Kansas this week. Again, ESPN Plus is the place that you can find those away matches. So we've talked about soccer and talked about volleyball, but men's golf and cross country, Mark, are absolutely killing it right now. Kyle Kepler's team, the cross country side, is ranked 6th in the country right now.
Yeah, just an incredible fall for cross country. You know, Kep thought that he had a really good team, you know, really good talent coming back, and you know, it's the highest they've been. It's just an amazing accomplishment. You know, it's something he's really been planning for many, many years. I mean, Erin Bringer, we got to talk about her. I mean, holy cow. I mean, she's been named conference, I think, player of the week maybe twice. She's just dynamic. And when you have those kind of leaders, everyone wants to follow. So really, really proud of them. They actually this week have their only, you know, home meet over in Sugar House Park, a little different. But it'll be over at Sugar House Park at 1 o'clock on Thursday. So anyone that's in that area, you know, come out and support the Utes. It's always fun to watch a cross-country meet. But, you know, they could be the one, Bill, when it's all said and done. I'm not trying to put pressure on Kep. I don't know if he's listening or not. But, you know, I believe on the 1st of November is the Big 12 championship in cross-country. We'll see if they're the ones. You know, there's a little race who's going to get the first rings in the building. So really proud of them.
And golf has had a terrific fall as well, winning 2 of their first 3 tournaments coming out and then competing well. They had kind of a fall Big 12 match play meet and competed well in that a couple of weeks ago too.
Yeah, and those first 2 tournaments, remarkable to win them both, but the fields were loaded, particularly in the second tournament they won. Teams that are traditionally in the NCAA tournament, some that are traditionally in that Final 8. Speaking of the Final 8, it's match play. They switched that about 6 years ago, and so the Big 12 had set up this match play. We didn't do this in the Pac-12. I think it's terrific. So all the teams met and really went after it. We won some, we lost some, we tied, but we learned a lot. It's just totally different. Those that really follow golf know that match play is different. So really excited about them. I think it's a testament to a lot of things that Coach has been talking about, the Leighton Golf Academy, the recruiting to that, the development of that, especially now as we get into the winter, you know, they can keep working. So really, really excited. And Bill, if I could just say, I'm just excited about all these teams that are just really performing at a high level, at a national level. I'm just really proud of everybody.
Basketball season is only 2 weeks away. We're inside of 2 weeks, really, until basketball begins. And, you know, without saying too much, we'll say a little bit here. Both the Utah men and Utah women last weekend had good weekends.
Well, yes. So, you know, there's these NCAA rules. I'm looking over at Paul Kirk. We'll see. He'll throw something at me. You know, the cream cheese on a bagel rule is gone now, which is good. But the rule that's not really gone is you can have a secret scrimmage, and you're allowed to say a little bit about it. So I'm going to go up to the line and see if I get slapped. We had, you know, we had UCLA in on the women's side. We had Nebraska in on the men's side on Saturday. So it was a little COVID-like when you go in there and no one's in there watching. But let's start with the men. The men, they just looked really, really connected. They looked really athletic. They were flying around the gym. had to have my roster, right? Because I'm getting to know these young people, like our community are going to get to know them in the next couple of weeks, but really proud of their effort. We came out on the right side of the ledger, I think. Maybe, I'm not sure, but I do know we played really, really well. And against a team in Nebraska that, went to the tournament. I believe they made it to the second round last year. A lot of work being put in. It's the good thing about college basketball, where 50+% nationally have transferred, is the rules have changed the last few years where you can do a lot of work in the summer. And so they've had a lot of hours in the gym together. They're pretty excited to play somebody else, I can tell you that. Now this week they're back playing, and I'm sure they're anxious to get out there and do it again. On the women's side, UCLA, who I believe is a preseason top 5, we really competed. We were in that thing, and just an amazing performance. And then they all went to dinner together at Lynn's house. Corey, the head coach of UCLA, and I are very close, and I was laughing. So there was great pictures of the UCLA women flashing the U at dinner and just with goofy looks. And, it's just this whole, being with a group like a UCLA and others in the Pac-12 for so many years, it's fun that our coaches are getting really creative ways to stay connected. Like, we're doing the home and home and gymnastics, and we're going to see a lot more of that. And but it was really good to see both women's and men's basketball really get after it on Saturday, and I think the work is really paying off.
Media days are this week. The preseason polls are coming out. They don't mean much. They just give you either something to put a chip on your shoulder for or some extra motivation. But what's your anticipation for both programs in the season ahead?
Yeah, let's start with the men. I mean, obviously we saw where we were ranked. Obviously we were down at the bottom, if not the bottom, and we understand that, and that's motivating. We lost in football to a team that was picked 16th. It doesn't matter. It matters the work you put in, how you apply it to competition. And I have no doubt that men's basketball has done the work. I think the staff that Craig's put together, the players, I think that they're just impressive. And if you go in and see practice, like I'm fortunate to do a lot, you'll see that I think our fans are going to be very proud of them. And obviously a really, really tough basketball conference. I think 8 teams got in the tournament last year. I see no reason why that won't be the same. On the women's side, I think we were picked, 6th? And I'm sure that's not gone over well. I don't know that for fact, but I have a funny feeling it's probably not. Maybe people not thinking Alyssa's here, so let's not worry about Utah anymore. But I think they better watch out. Gia's back. I got to see her play. It was so great to see her on the court again. I could go on and on. Jenna, everybody on that team. And then Lynn is just spectacular. So I think it's going to be an exciting year for both teams. It's time to move indoors, as we head toward November. And just encourage everybody to take a look at our schedules if you haven't already. We've got incredible packages for men's and women's basketball. Come down, support us, and I think you're going to really enjoy what you see.
Season tips off with a couple of doubleheaders, too. Men's and women's doubleheaders on the 4th and 7th of November. You can go to utahtickets.com to check out season ticket packages. We're going to grab a break here, our first of the day on Hear It From Harlan, and I'm going to step aside. Mark will take the lead, and Taliana Kaufusi will come in. Senior came back for her senior year. She and Mark will talk about the season and her story coming up straight ahead, and this is Hear It From Harlan.
For tickets, apparel, team schedules, and more on the Utes, visit UtahUtes.com, the official website of Utah Athletics.
It's always good to see and talk with Bill Riley, but my favorite part of this podcast is when we have one of our fabulous student athletes in to visit, and certainly we have one today. We have Taliana Kaufusi in from our women's soccer team. Talk about timing. I get a chance to visit with her after just a dominant weekend on the pitch, as they say, at Ute Field, senior weekend, picking up 6 points, 2 wins, which is just really on the backside of other great wins. You guys are really peaking, so thank you for coming in today.
Thank you so much for having me.
Well, we're going to talk a little bit about soccer, but I want to start off with your journey. You graduated here last May. Congratulations.
Thank you.
You're contributing to our 94% graduation rate. Thank you very much. Tops in the conference. Tell me a little about your journey. Obviously, Highland High School, close by, but you were a very coveted soccer player, and you had choices. So let's start there. There's been a few Kaufusis that have come through Utah, but I bet you wanted to make sure your journey was your journey. So I'm interested in how you wound up here.
So it's actually an interesting story. Maybe when I was not a lot of people know this, but I was actually committed to go to Weber State when I was maybe like 15 or something. It was something I kept on the down low, though. I don't know. My senior year, I had a pretty good senior year in club soccer, when I was just about to graduate high school. And I had reached out to some of the coaches here, asking them to come to my games, and
being proactive.
So,
come and take a look.
Yeah, come and take a look at me.
That's right. I love it.
Yeah, and so they did, and I was able to. I don't know. I had
convince, right?
Yeah,
convince, and they had to look at your tape and get to know you. But that's obviously we were a great program, nothing to take away. But obviously, at the time, a Pac-12 program, probably one that you grew up maybe dreaming of coming here, or was it just kind of one of those things? And so you were able to accomplish your dream. So tell me about getting the offer to come here, to be a part of it.
Yeah, that was really awesome because I had, at the time, it was already after signing day. So most of the girls in my class, when I committed or signed, I didn't even know anyone in my class. And it was scary when everyone had signed and I still didn't know where I wanted to go to school yet. But I had gotten the offer from here and I went on a visit, and before even getting the offer, I was totally excited about it. I my dad went here. I have uncles who also went here and cousins. And I wanted to be a part of that legacy that they've
set forward, and you got a chance to follow in that.
Yeah.
Well, I want to go back to when you got the call, if you don't mind. This is the part that I always love, and I think people that follow the Utes are so interested in the recruiting process. So I'm sure it was Rich, right? Did he call you or his staff and just said, you want to be a Ute? Were you trying to be cool about it, or did you think about it, or you let me come and take my visit and take a look? How did you handle that?
No, I was really excited. I was deciding between two schools, this one and another, and I remember calling Rich when I decided I want to come here, and being in the car after school. I don't even know what I was doing. I was just in the car, and I called them and told them that I wanted to come here, and he was totally psyched, and I was too, and I told my family that I committed here, and it was cool. It was awesome.
Oh, that's just so great. I can just tell the joy in your face, and it's funny, you go from that story to now looking at some of the things you've accomplished, and as we sit and tape this today, you're the leading scorer in the Big 12 Conference. I'm sure that's something that you're really proud of. I know it's a team sport. Whenever I bring up these individuals, Alyssa Peely sat in the same chair last year. Was like, I don't want to talk about that. It's all about team. I get it. But that's quite an accomplishment from someone who got a late offer after signing day, the pressure of that. So let's back that up a little bit too. So right now, obviously, incredibly accomplished player, leading this team. But this has been a journey, right? It didn't just happen overnight. What do you attribute to your growth here, both as a player, certainly you graduated on time and all that stuff, and as a person? What do you attribute that all to? Coming in,
there was a lot of changes that were happening. After my freshman year, we had a coaching change, and that was really difficult.
Hard work, just stick-to-itiveness. Going through a coaching change can really, there's the student athletes can go a direction you obviously bought in big time during that change.
Yeah, of course. I would, and
you dug in and got better.
Yeah, I would say that definitely happened over this past year. Last season, I wanted to put my name in the draft, and I had a conversation with Hideki about it, saying that's probably not a good idea. I needed to come back for another year of development, and I totally had a mindset change. I think in previous years, I wasn't really, I wanted it, but I wasn't ever really willing to do the work. And so this past year, I was willing to do that, and I've been able to do pretty well on the pitch.
You give yourself a little bit more credit. I think you've been doing work. I just think, student athletes here that really just, you grow up while you're here. You grow up as a person, you grow up as an athlete. And, you go into your last year, you also start thinking, I got one more shot at this. So let's talk a little bit about this year. New conference, new places, new faces that you're competing against. You guys really, I thought, were kind of getting the unlucky stick there for a while, both in terms of just low-scoring games, early goals, some things would happen. But you could see it. When I was out there, you could see the ball movement, I think, is just better this year. Which there's probably a better way to say it. It's just better. It's very crisp. And then you had, I think, 4 athletes, critical athletes, that went out, and you guys really fought through that with injuries, which has been a little bit of a challenge for soccer the last few years. What do you attribute right now? You guys are playing at a really high level. And by the way, huge game Friday night near the beer garden at the University of Colorado campus. I've seen that soccer pitch as well. But what do you attribute the success right now? Because like I said, you guys are playing at a really high level.
I think people know that there's a lot on the line this year, and in previous years we haven't been able to be successful. And a lot of the girls, I would say everyone, really wants to go far. I mean, in my years being here, I've never made the NCAA tournament, and I mean, like with this team that we have now, we're able to take a shot at that. I would just say everyone's really bought in and is willing to just come to practice and do the work.
Yeah. Well, I think you can see that when you watch.
Yeah.
And I do. I appreciate you saying that, because I think it comes across there's something bigger that you guys want to get. And I'm saying it wasn't there in the previous years, but it seems like everyone's coalescing around that. So really, like I said, you have one more regular season game. I think you're a game out of the bye in the tournament. I've heard that the Big 12 tournament in Kansas City is really special. And I'm looking forward to you guys experiencing that. What was it like when the game ended? It was a great game. To walk off the field for the last time on Ute Field. I mean, you've spent a lot of hours there. How did that feel? Did you kind of just, I know Thursday, Hideki always does it the night before. I get all mixed up whatever he does.
Yeah.
But the whole weekend, I mean, how was it for you a few days removed for it? Was it pretty special?
Yeah, it was awesome. It was very emotional, and I had conversations with one of my other teammates, Casey, about it. And we were just talking about how awesome it is. And yeah, I think I was the last one off the field on Sunday.
Good.
Like, I didn't want to leave. I was just with my family. We were just hanging out, and it's just awesome to reflect on that time. Like,
Ups and downs, right?
Yeah,
it all kind of flashes.
Yeah.
When I talk to a student athlete, it all kind of like comes together, and it could be a quick moment, but it's a time to reflect. You didn't do like take off the shoes thing. Like
No.
What if you did that? That would have been classic. We would have filmed that and blasted that. Someone next year is going to hear this and do it. Okay, so what's next for you, right? You got. Hopefully the season goes for a long time, and then here we go, real life of all the things coming. What do you think your next moves are when the soccer season is over?
Hopefully I can play at the next level. That's definitely been my goal for the past year, and I mean, there's a lot of new changes with it. They dropped the draft, so honestly, like, I don't even really understand how it works, but I'm just trying to focus on this last game and the Big 12 tournament, and then anything after that. So, well,
it's not like you knew a lot about the recruiting process.
Yeah.
You know, you just kind of worked out pretty well.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm sitting here talking to the top scorer in one of the top conferences for soccer in this country. Well, thank you. You know, your leadership has been noted. You know, you've been here for probably feels like 5 minutes, or sometimes it feels like 10 years. But really appreciate, and congrats on your success. I always just
Thank
love
you.
it when the best year is that final year. But you got to promise you come back and visit. Don't be a
Of
pro
course,
soccer
of course.
player, too cool for school. We got to go through your agent. No, make sure you come back. Really appreciate the leadership. I think your class, I thought last year's class did a really nice job too of continuing to set the foundation for it shouldn't be an aberration that we're in that tournament. And I think you guys are on the cutting edge of breaking through and getting us back there. So good luck.
Thank
really
you.
appreciate your time today.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
For more episodes of the Hear It From Harlan podcast, search for it on Apple Podcasts, Amazon Alexa, Spotify, and YouTube.
Back on Hear It From Harlan, Bill Riley, voice of the Utes and director of athletics, Mark Harlan. How great is Taliana Kaufusi? I mean, really, how great is she? She's part of a family, Mark, that is really not just a Utah, but a state of Utah family. There is so much crossover in the Kaufusi family between here and down south, but her family in particular is so interwoven in Utah athletics.
Royalty is what comes to mind, and it's fun to read the family tree and see it. You know, her dad was just an awesome football player here, as you know, and she just, you know, she kind of epitomizes, again, just the journey of student athletes that is never linear. It's always, you know, all over the place. And I thought particularly insightful on the recruiting piece to not have really been highly recruited, and then she wound up coming her dream. And oh, by the way, she very well may in the regular season is the top scorer in this conference, right? She's leading as we tape today. So excited to sit down with her, really excited to see her future, and really wish her the very best. She's awesome.
Since the last time you and I spoke, you've added a new member to your senior staff. And it's a position that's kind of new to collegiate athletics, and new to Utah, but especially it's becoming more and more, I think, prevalent in athletics today.
Well, we utilize the employment transfer portal, right? You can complain about the portal all you want, or you can go utilize it in a way that works for you. No, we hired Patrick Nolan, just a wonderful employee, wonderful person. He's filling a key part of the organization. We just needed someone that could lead a group of incredibly talented professionals here that really has a sole focus on raising the necessary capital for us to be able to run this organization at the highest level, to win championships and graduate student athletes and provide an incredible experience. And he just has great talents in that. Similar role at Notre Dame, a little bit nuanced here. Similar role at Oklahoma. He's been at big brands. He knows how to look at brands and figure out different creative ways. So I'm really excited he's here. He's got a great family. He's living in temporary housing somewhere, waiting for his family to get here. But in the meantime, he's working 18-hour days, which I appreciate. But he's awesome. I can't wait for many of our community to meet him soon.
His title is Chief Revenue Officer. And again, it's a role that 5 years ago really didn't exist in collegiate athletics. And now, if you want to compete, you have to have a CRO, don't you?
You really do. You just have to not be walking past opportunities that maybe once were there. Look no further than the different rules the NCAA is just getting rid of, things like where you put sponsorships and all that stuff. And we'll always do things the right way, but we don't want to be left behind when it comes to monetizing the things that help us be great. I think our fans would understand that too, and Patrick will do a great job leading us in those efforts.
We've had a little bit more news since when last we spoke as well. Utah baseball. Anybody that's driven down Guardsman near campus past the football facility has seen construction underway for America First Ballpark.
Yeah, it's really exciting. That's my route into work, and I appreciate all the activity that's going on in there. Moving a lot of dirt, as I keep being told. I saw a drone shot of it the other day, and they're not lying. There's a lot of dirt being moved around, and so things are really moving well there. I appreciate everyone involved with that project. And the other really big development since we spoke is we just were very blessed to continue to work with the city, and certainly with the Miller family and the Bees. We're going to be able to play this season at Smith's Ballpark, which was an unexpected development. We just didn't know what they were going to do at the facility. They're still being thoughtful and creative how they want to do that. And the mayor was like, well, you guys should be able to play here. Let's figure this out. And that's exactly what we did. So really appreciative of Mayor Mendenhall and our team working together to get that done. And I think about those seniors, right, who are going to miss out on the ballpark, which they give me grief for periodically because they were asking about it as freshmen when they were here. I just saw Kai Roberts here the other day. He goes, hey, it looks good out there, But at least this group gets to play in a fabulous AAA ballpark, and excited about their season ahead, which won't be interrupted because of that, and then come back and the stadium will be built.
It's been such a great home for Utah baseball for a lot of years. In fact, one of the first championships the university won in the Pac-12 was a baseball championship that was clinched against the University of Washington.
I got the dog pile picture in my office. It's awesome.
It is. It's fantastic. So Smith's Ballpark will remain the home for one more year in the spring for Utah baseball. And, of course, anybody that's walked by can see the construction, I'm assuming, early on, but everything's still on schedule.
Yeah, on schedule, on time. And we put a big banner out there so people could see what we were building. And again, I appreciate VCBO and Populous, who did all the design, and Layton Construction, who's doing all the heavy lifting and going to build it for us. And most importantly, our donors, America First, who's just been amazing to us, and Charlie Moffert and others. So just can't do it without people lifting you, and I'm very grateful.
So wanted to shout this out just on the way out. Many of you may be listening to us this way. Our Utah 360 app, which has been fantastic. They're adding more and more content up there on a regular basis, and this podcast can be accessed there and a lot of different things as well.
Free is good, Bill. We're talking about CROs and all those things, but free is good. And certainly the Utah 360 app is just the development and the advancement of the technology. Been so impressed. We're really starting to take off in numbers. It's just a great thing. Concessions at football games and ticketing and all those kind of things. But I think it's a really good place to get real insightful thoughts from our student athletes. There's a lot of great content. Very grateful for that team. And grateful for you, Bill. Thanks for everything. When is your 6-month evaluation coming up?
Pretty soon.
Pretty soon.
Pretty soon. Is that you or is that Paul Kirk?
I don't know.
Or is it,
I think
is
I'm
it a
in on
committee?
that.
Okay.
I'm in on that. I think I'll jump in on that.
Let's go to lunch then, son. Let's go to lunch soon, or maybe breakfast.
Appreciate you, man.
Thank you, Mark. That's Mark Harlan, Director of Athletics. Thanks to Taliana Kaufusi as well, and thanks to you for listening. We'll have another episode of Hear It From Harlan coming up in about a month or so. We'll be into basketball toward the end of postseason as well for all the fall sports. Thank you for listening, and go Utes.
This has been the Hear It From Harlan podcast. Subscribe and listen all year long as we keep you up to date on the Utes and collegiate athletics.